Am I the antagonist for making my partner wait outside our house for hours after going out? I'm 27 years old male, she's 24 years old female. Context is we only have one set of keys because a few months ago, our landlord lost his pair and asked us for one of the ones we had. And since we are moving at the end of this month, we decided to not make another copy. Yesterday, she went out with this new girlfriend of hers she met a few months ago to have lunch, but ended up spending the entire day out and around. 10 p.m. told me she was gonna go out partying. I told her I was gonna go out too, but since she wasn't home and I had the keys, I told her what we were supposed to do, and she told me to take the keys and said we could come home together at 6 a.m. when the clubs closed because we was gonna be near each other. Clubs were a few minutes walk distance from each other. I insisted her to confirm me that she was going to come home with me because I told her I was low on battery and my phone would die, and she confirmed it. I drank a lot and she did too because we were texting throughout the night and I could tell she was drunk. Around 6 a.m. I asked her if she was coming home because I guessed she might be going to sleep at her friend's who lives near our home, around 15-minute walk. She didn't reply, so I guessed okay, she's not coming home, and since I was still active and a bit drunk, I went to one of my friend's place too. Drank a bit more and ended up falling asleep on their couch. My phone died, so no alarms and no calls were received, and I woke up around 3-4 p.m. and took a taxi home only to find her sitting on the door and killing me with her eyes. She haven't talked to me since that day, it was on Friday, and made a big thing out of it. Apparently, she came home around 12 p.m. thinking I was there, and I wasn't receiving any texts nor opening the door, so she just stayed there until I finally came home. I told her why didn't she just come back to her friend's place, which is near our house, and she said that wasn't the point, and told me to leave her alone and even hinted breaking up because she can't believe I care so little about her. I do understand she can be mad because she was sitting there for hours, but I did text her at 6 asking her if she was gonna come home as she said, but she didn't even reply until 12 p.m. IG. 2. She could have just gone back to her friends. And 3. I did warn her several times that I was running low on battery. In this situation, it's clear there was a miscommunication mixed in with a heavy dose of drunken antics. While it's understandable that your girlfriend was upset after waiting for hours, the blame doesn't solely fall on your shoulders. You did try to confirm plans and gave her a heads up about your phone battery situation. Moving forward, it might help to have a backup plan in place for times like this, especially when key access is involved. And remember, communication, even in the wee hours after a night of revelry, is key. Misunderstandings happen. Just try to clear the air and hopefully you both can laugh about it one day, preferably not at 6 a.m. after clubbing. Am I the antagonist for insisting my fiancé to let my family come along for a family vacation? I, 30-year-old male, am newly engaged. I have been with my now fiancé for 8 years. She is 28. We live out of state from both sides of our families. My mom and her dad live in the same city 5 hours away, so we take multiple trips a year. Over the past 4 years, my fiancé has visited my mom's place less and less. While it does make sense she visits her dad and sisters, she doesn't even stop by sometimes. My mom has started to notice, but I just make up excuses every time. I wish my fiancé would consider my family more, but given some things that has happened, I think she's emotionally washed her hands. Both of my adult siblings still live at home, one having a slight disability. My brother does not think before he speaks and just says anything. Telling my fiancé she's not family after 8 years is one example. He does it to everyone. His attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, just gets the best of him. My sister and her haven't got on the best, and she also has a 4-year-old son that lives at home with my mother. My fiancé swears my sister doesn't want her around my nephew and doesn't even want her to know who she is. My mom isn't the most social person and rarely reaches out to my fiancé, but their relationship is good when they do speak. I come from a very antisocial family. I think that's one thing my fiancé isn't used to. I generally spend more time with my fiancé's family because they are the family I always wanted but never had. Plus, it's more comfortable for the both of us. I also choose to be with her side more for holidays than my own. My fiancé has always considered us splitting holidays just so my mom doesn't get upset, even though I know she won't come. It sucks after a while to keep visiting my mom's house alone when it's never that way on her side. Well, every year my fiancé's dad's side of the family books an Airbnb for a weekend for all of us to go. Last year was 50 of us. Everyone puts in $300, $400 to cover our meals house along with any excursions we do. It's a good time. My mom called and asked me if they could join us this year. They would pay for their own rooms or get a separate house close by if needed, and that my siblings also sounded interested. My mom wanted all the details. When I asked my fiancé about it, she told me no. She said she wasn't comfortable with them coming along given they barely consider her family as is. I told her maybe having them come out with us versus her always having to visit would help the relationship and help us bond. She kept repeating she didn't feel comfortable with that and how my family never took out the time to meet her family before, so why now? Also, by them asking to come along, she feels used. I just don't understand. I love my fiancé, she is such a family-oriented person, but I don't understand why not now. I insisted she let them come because we are getting married anyway. Isn't this part of marriage? Am I the a-hole? First of all, congrats on the engagement. You and your fiancé have been together for quite some time, so it's great that you're taking this step forward. It seems like you both have different dynamics with your respective families, which is not uncommon. It's understandable that you want your mom to be more integrated into your life, especially since you make efforts to spend time with your fiancé's family. However, forcing the issue by inviting them on a trip where your fiancé is uncomfortable may not be the best approach. Marriage is about compromise and understanding, so communication is key. It's important to address the underlying issues your fiancé has about feeling accepted by your family. Maybe there are some unresolved issues that need to be discussed openly. Consider having an open and honest conversation with your fiancé about how you can navigate this situation together. It's crucial to support each other's feelings and find a solution that works for both of you. In conclusion, you're not necessarily the a-hole, but it might be worth looking deeper into the situation to understand your fiancé's perspective and find a resolution that respects both of your feelings. Good luck and happy planning for the wedding. Am I the antagonist for refusing to give a donut to someone at a party? I cannot believe I am posting this, but here we are. I have a mixed group of friends, and some are saying I was wrong, so I decided to let Reddit decide. My husband and I were invited to a birthday party. We asked if we could bring anything, and the host said not needed, but we could if we wanted to. Since I don't like showing up empty-handed anywhere, I thought it would be nice to purchase some boutique donuts from an artisanal donut shop near us. We got a bunch of donuts and one gluten-free donut for my husband who cannot have gluten. Side note, no one at the party has any gluten issues. We know these people fairly well. We got to the party and set the donuts down. Immediately, this child and his mother decided to come on over because, in her words, these are the best donuts in town. Wow, thank you for bringing them. I open up the boxes and immediately the child throws his hands on the gluten-free one. I kindly said, "Oh sorry, I am saving that one for my husband, he cannot have gluten." I picked the donut out and set it aside and proceeded to tell him all the other wonderful flavors that I got. Cookies and cream Nutella, it was donuts galore. The child immediately starts crying because he wanted the one I took away, and his mother proceeded to begin tearing at me and yelling at me for not just giving him the donut. He is just a child. I was stunned and I immediately just left the situation, went outside with my husband's donut, gave it to him. I was mortified. I thought she would calm down, but no. This woman proceeds to go outside and make a scene about it. A big argument ensued about how I refused her child a donut. It was comical at this point. I calmly stated my point again that this donut was for my husband who is gluten-free, and I know no one there has an issue with gluten, so her child could have one of the others. This woman wouldn't let it go, so here is where I might be the At this point, I am sick of her entitlement, so I told her just that. She is an entitled little brat, and now I know where her child gets it from. She starts crying, making a scene, and leaves the party. The host and everyone there is just mortified and then tell me I should have just handed the child the donut. My husband sticks up for me, and we decided to leave early. It sounds like you stumbled upon a donut dilemma at the party and things got a little nutty, or should I say, doughy. Jokes aside, it's clear that there was a miscommunication about the gluten-free donut situation. As much as we all love donuts, it's understandable that you wanted to save the special one for your husband. The mother's reaction may have been a tad over the top, especially considering the situation. It's important to remember that not everyone may be aware of dietary restrictions, so a simple explanation could have cleared up the confusion. Of course, calling her a brat might have added fuel to the fire. In the future, a gentle approach like offering an alternative donut or explaining the situation calmly could prevent any misunderstandings. It's always challenging when tensions rise at social gatherings, but your intention to bring a thoughtful gift shouldn't be overlooked. Hopefully next time, the party will be a bit less dramatic and a lot more sweet. Am I the antagonist for rolling my eyes at my mom and stepdad and giving them attitude? So my parents' divorce and my mother's marriage to my stepfather is messy. Mom and stepdad had an affair. Dad has confirmed my dad via DNA, and I say this because I know the question will get asked. My mom left dad while she was pregnant with me to be with my stepdad. The first year of my life they were in and out of court constantly and fighting. It was over the divorce, custody of me, and my last name. My mom wanted to give me my stepdad's name. Dad fought against it, and I was given his name, which was something my mom tried to really change, especially because she took my stepdad's name. But the courts took Dad's side and agreed with him that given the situation, it seemed a lot like parental alienation to not give me my biological dad's name. My dad also brought my mom and stepdad to court, so my stepdad didn't have any parental responsibility toward me and could not act as a legal parent to me. So no signing me up for extracurriculars or going solo to doctor's appointments and stuff. He also can't take me out of state without permission from both my parents, and my dad has the right to make him leave parent conferences and stuff. My dad won that. I know about this because my mom and stepdad have mentioned it a lot. My dad has on occasion said a couple of things that let me know how glad he is that my stepdad can't take on the full responsibility of a dad to me. But he talks less about it where I can hear. I'm 15 years old and they still hate each other. I'm pretty sick of my mom and stepdad hating on my dad. My mom and stepdad have asked me before if I'd like their name, or if I'd like to add their name to my last name. They try and get me to invite my stepdad along to the Father's Day sports event my coach hosts for the football team every year. I always pick my dad, but my stepdad really wants to be part of it. But I don't really want him there, and I don't want him there over my actual dad. It's all a mess, and 3 days ago my mom and stepdad were talking about how badly my dad messed up mine and my stepdad's relationship, and how petty he was for taking them to court to prevent my stepdad from being the best parent to me. I rolled my eyes when they were talking about it. They called me out. I was like, I don't care, and they said I had a bad attitude and should show more respect, which made me roll my eyes again. They're still upset today, and I know it's also because they know how little I care about my stepdad being denied certain rights to me, and how I don't care about their hate for my dad. But am I the asshole for rolling my eyes and the attitude? Well, it sounds like you're in the middle of a real-life soap opera drama there. While your family situation is definitely messy, it's important to remember that you're not the one who created these problems. It's completely understandable that you're tired of the constant tension between your parents and stepdad. Rolling your eyes and showing some attitude in response to their bickering is a natural reaction. However, it might be worth having a calm and honest conversation with your mom and stepdad about how their negativity towards your dad is affecting you. Let them know that while you appreciate their efforts to include your stepdad in your life, ultimately, your relationship with your dad is what matters most to you. You're not the asshole for feeling exasperated by the situation. Just try to navigate the drama with as much grace and humor as you can muster. And hey, you might have a future as a scriptwriter for a family drama series with all this material. Am I the antagonist for wanting to tell my bestie's family member that she can't say her kid is autistic? Explanation below. I know what the title looks like. I know. But my bestie has this family member that is hoping her kid is autistic, so she has an out on her crappy parenting. What is her crappy parenting? Story time. So my bestie, 31 years old female, had invited me, 31 years old female, to go Easter egg hunting with her and her 2 kids, 3 years old female and 1-year-old male, at local family farm that was hosting an Easter festival of sorts along with some of her aunts and cousins, one of which is a 5-year-old girl and her 40-year-old mother. The 5-year-old was running around and squealing like a normal 5-year-old, which I don't mind cause that's what normal kids do. But herein lies the problem. She was taking strangers' eggs and putting them in her basket, and then screamed and cried when the other kid's parent told her to put it back, to which the mom answered, sorry, she has autism. Which I thought at that point may be true. Later on, she grabs a huge thick stick and starts beating my bestie's 3-year-old, to which I grabbed the stick before she could hurt her and chucked it into the woods. This caused her to cry and scream, of course, and the mom said the same thing to me as she told the other unfortunate parents that she has autism, which again, I thought may have been true. A little later after we left, and we are headed home, my bestie said that she was using autism as an out for her horrible and neglectful parenting. This woman wants her child to get an autism diagnosis just so she can have an out. I about lost my mind. And here is why I want to tell her that that is so wrong. 1. I feel it delegitimizes my psychological diagnosis of autism by at least 3 different psychiatric specialists. 2. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. Living with autism for 31 years, going to be 32 in May, sometimes it's pure hell, especially when dealing with school and society. Yes, I know I don't look like I have it, but that's because I'm busy freaking out and trying to look normal by societal standards. Would I be an asshole if I told her to not say that her kid has a psychological problem that she, the kid, doesn't have? Of course, I realize she may actually have it, but the way the parent worded it sounded like she just wants an out. Oi. While this situation may seem like a joke, it's definitely no laughing matter. Using a potential autism diagnosis as a scapegoat for bad parenting is not only inappropriate but also incredibly harmful. As someone who has lived with autism for over 3 decades, I can attest to the challenges and struggles that come with it. It's not something to be taken lightly or used as an excuse for irresponsible behavior. It's important to address this issue with empathy and understanding, but also with a firm stance against exploiting a serious condition for personal gain. As much as we might want to maintain a sense of humor in difficult situations, this is one that requires a serious and thoughtful response. So, no, you wouldn't be the jerk if you spoke up about the misuse of autism in this context. It's about standing up for what's right and advocating for those who genuinely need support and understanding. Am I the antagonist for telling everyone how my mother-in-law acted at our wedding? Throwaway, husband on Reddit. I, 26 years old female, got married to Jack, 26-year-old male, in August. We have been together since we were 15. Jack and I decided to have an immediate family-only wedding. It was extremely small, my dad and brother, his parents and sister husband. My dad paid for everything. Mother-in-law, father-in-law ask if they can stay with us the week of the wedding. We say sure. They show up and they brought mother-in-law's sister, husband, and niece, 14 years old. The 5 of them are in the entry of the house and expect to stay with us this week. I'm annoyed, especially since they weren't invited, but I say nothing. Mother-in-law walks right past me, then turns to me and asks if we invited Jack's cousin. We will call her Jane. I tell her no, we just invited you guys and my family. The reason Jane is not invited is because she's drama, wore white to Jack's sister's wedding and made a scene. The day before the wedding, I get up and notice my car is missing. I had last-minute things to get. Turns our mother-in-law helped herself to it, so she can go shopping at the mall. I call Jack, he calls his mom, she returns the car 4 hours later. The mall is 15 minutes away from our house. I was able to get everything I needed and head home. When I get home, Jack pulls me aside and tells me, mother-in-law yelled at him for having a camera in the house. We have a camera facing the back door. We check it to make sure the dogs aren't outside and it's locked. Either way, it's not hidden and it's our home. To me that was suspicious, so I check the footage and hear how mother-in-law and aunt are absolutely berating me and our house. I show it to Jack and he says to say nothing. The day of the wedding arrives, mother-in-law opens our bedroom door asking for an iron. I go grab one for her. I close the door and start getting ready. I have a picture of my mom, passed away, next to the mirror and I'm just in my head about it all. Then mother-in-law opens the door and asks for an ironing curler. I get her one. I close the door and lock it. I call my dad to linger outside the door. The limo arrives to pick me and my husband to bring us to the church. Before I get out the door, mother-in-law, father-in-law, aunt, uncle, niece get in the limo and open the special bottle that my dad kept from his wedding. So now it's me, Jack and all his family in the limo on the way to church. Like a clown car, they drink the whole bottle which I wanted to share with my dad and brother. At the reception, Jack and I catch mother-in-law going through the wedding envelopes to see what everyone gave. She is pulling money out and telling Jack his sister is cheap. Again, I say nothing. The last straw was when I looked around and mother-in-law and aunt were missing. I find them hiding, calling Jane, who didn't even know about the wedding, to tell her she wasn't invited. Lastly, I got my photos back from our photographer. Aunt, mother-in-law, uncle are doing the peace sign behind our heads in every group picture. I've told my friends what happened because it bothers me, but my husband is saying IDOWorkHereLady because I shouldn't tell anyone. Am I the antagonist? First of all, I must say dealing with a whole circus as your in-laws sounds like quite the show. Finding yourself in a clown car on the way to your own wedding is definitely a memorable experience, but not necessarily for the right reasons. Your concerns about the invasion of privacy and disrespectful behavior are completely valid. It's important to address these issues with your husband and set boundaries for your relationship with his family moving forward. While sharing your frustrations with friends is understandable, it might be beneficial to have a serious conversation with your husband about how to handle the situation together. It's important to navigate these family dynamics with respect and communication. In conclusion, dealing with overbearing in-laws can be challenging, but maintaining open communication and setting boundaries is key. Remember, marriage is a partnership, and you and your husband should tackle these challenges as a team. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.